All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's live stream. Still finishing my coffee there a little bit. All right, let's get started. I was going to do a slight bit of prep work, but then I thought, let's just all get into it together here. So let's bring up Chrome again here. And if we go to github.com/Laravel shift, not the workbench. I always forget there's a factory generator, right? And then there's also ooh, I'm getting some weird feedback. Let me know you can hear me and see me okay. There's that. What is my input though? Where are you? Input. Input. Oh, Ecamm Live. You're so annoying. I don't know what that is. That's like a soundboard. That's hilarious. I'm assuming that's my... I think it's coming in... There we go. I think that's right. I think it was using my AirPods for... my input. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what happened. So, okay, let me know if that sounds a little better. Sorry about that. Anyway, so if we look at this factory generator, this is something that the Shift test generator uses. And it kind of goes in and tries to guess information about your model structure and which faker data like methods it should use. And someone reported a bug with this the other day, and I've kind of been putting it off because it's not really broken per se, it's just it could be better. So of course I want to make it better, but there were some other things that I wanted to finish up. I'm pretty sure this project, though, in turn uses maybe this model analyzer. I'm not entirely sure. So you know what? I know I changed this recently. Let's look at this. I think I did this on a stream before where I went in here and fixed all these. So yeah, this type guesser is actually the thing. That's the thing that I care about. Inside of here, I think there's an opportunity to add some logic that's going to kick out a better method, a better faker method to use for certain bits of data. So let's pull this project down, or make sure it's pulled down on my machine, and let's get in here. It looks like there are some tests, so we'll try to run those and see what happens. And then maybe we'll write a test for these kind of additional pieces I want to add. So again, this is a public repo. It's not private or anything. It's something that you could use yourself. This guesser or whatnot pulled out of here. But I use it internally for Shift, but there's nothing necessarily specific about it. So anyway, to that point, let's go to, what is this called? Factory. It doesn't look like I have it, so let's just pull it down. Let's copy this, git clone. All right, let's get into the factory. No, not faker registry. Factory generator. All right, and I'm gonna have to fire up Docker here. That's gonna be annoying. Let's give that a minute, and let's also fire up PHP Storm, and we'll make sure this is mapped. So I've got this little command. Get out of here, Docker. So many things firing up. All right, so I got this little GWD. It's like a copy working directory command. Just because if I didn't have this on this machine, then I probably don't have it mapped. Let's find out. Factory, model factory generate. No, that's the old one. Let's bring this up. Paste that in there. There it is. Project root. It's always like 30 clicks for PHP Storm to make. I should just be able to paste in a path and it, figures it out. But you gotta click that. You gotta click project root. You gotta create existing project. That should just be the default. Anyway, we do have some tests, so let's get this pulled up. Do I have any requirements for this? Illuminate 8 and 9. Probably don't really care about supporting 8 anymore, in fairness, but we'll leave it alone. So let's get into this shift runner, and let's do composer update, and let's try to run the tests. And again, let's just kind of see where we are, see what tests we have, see if there's a place I can go in and hook in some new ones. So while we're waiting on this, so what I want to do is, again, quickly, this will be a short stream today, probably just another 15, 20 minutes. But what I want to do is add some stuff for URLs. I want to add some stuff for like additional addresses. Basically, people are coming back and saying like, oh, hey, this is good, but like, I had like Twitter_URL is my column name for my model, and it put word in there, right? Or I have like thumbnail_image, and it put word, because word's kind of the default faker method to use, or fake data to use, is just a word. So I think there's some opportunity to kind of clean this up and again, improve that experience. The goal for the generator would be to give you tests not only that you can run right away, but not a bunch of things you have to go in and change, because that would be very tedious to go into all your models and kind of change those things out, right? So I think there's a chance to make this a little bit better. So let's do vendor bin PHP unit, and let's see if this works. Oh wow, no it doesn't. No files, shift test fixtures non-existent were found. Oh, I think I remember this failing before. There's something special about this setup. You have to like map it or something. I forgot. Okay, well, we're not going to worry about that right now. Let's go into this type guesser test. I think this is probably the one that I care the most about. If we go into this, I think we'll get some like data providers or something down here where like, yeah, it kind of starts to guess like simple stuff. So I think what I would want to do now is, yeah, kind of do some stuff for like additional URL fields. So here's one. It guesses URL values. I think this would be good to kind of add this and add one for images. So what we're going to do is just, I'll work on this test suite kind of off stream. Again, I remember it not always passing anyway. This passes though. This is the test we care about. So I'm going to focus on this right now. The goal of this stream is not to fix these test cases necessarily, or the test suite. The goal is to kind of add some new functionality. So I'm going to close the chat for a second just so I got some more screen real estate. And let's kind of go through this, right? Okay, so it can guess Boolean values by type. All right. So this, what does this do? The type guesser guesses on what? Oh, it's PHP Storm's indexing. Let's give it a second. So it probably guesses based on column name and then type, right? I guess, yeah, so name, you pass it a name, and then you pass it a doctrine deval type and a potential size. Okay, so what we can do is we want to guess things by name, I think. It can guess values by name, so name does a name, there's no get type, I guess. Interesting. All right. It can guess first name values, last name values, username values, email values, phone number values, address values. That's cool. City, town, street address. That's nice. Postcode. What else can we do here? Locale. There's one for URL. Okay, so let's clean up this URL one. So website's nice, URL's nice. I think if you have like Twitter, URL or something, or even like, if you had something like an API URL or like an endpoint URL, any of these should probably be guessed, in my opinion, as a URL string, right? So I think let's add those two. Let's kind of look at the rest of these. If you have any ideas in the chat for things, again, faker data that could be set up, let me know. So not guessable, defaults to word. So again, we see this default bit. It can guess properties based on their names. It can guess properties. That's strange. Is there like latitude and longitude? Do I have one for longitude in here? Longitude? Let's just do this. It can guess coordinates based on their names. Let's do one for longitude. All right. I think the other one I wanted to do was maybe like image. Maybe we'll just scroll down Faker's documentation and see what's available. So image would just be maybe like image, and you could have something like profile, image, and maybe something to like picture. And I wonder, you're probably always going to store, you're probably always going to store these as like a blob. I wonder if those should be guessed on type, you know? I don't know. We'll see what we think here. Let's go look at Faker PHP. Let's just kind of scroll through their available formatters real quick and get some ideas. So we got city, state, longitude, latitude, good. We have that already. Phone number. Yeah, I think there's some for, where's images or file? Here we go. There's MIME type, file extension, files. This just gives you kind of like a name. Oh, I wonder if we have UUID stuff too. That would be nice. So generate a random image URL from placeholder.com. Ooh, that's nice. Image URL. That would be cool actually if you had an image URL, like if you had an image or a picture URL, if it used this one instead. That's kind of neat, I think. Let's do that. It can guess image URL values. Let's do that. So if you have something like image URL or like image URL or something like that. I'm just trying to think, should we get fancy? Should we get fancy based on type? So like, let's say if you had something like image, and you know, type was string, then use like image URL, right? Use this method. But if it was image and the type was blob, then it would maybe use this actual image where it kind of, I thought you could get one where like it actually dumped out a file or like made a file. No, maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I thought there was something where you could actually generate or create an image that would get put in there. Get a random image and download it to a directory. The full path of all parameters are the same except for the extra parameter which defines where the image should be stored. See, I thought you could get like the binary data from this and stuff it in there, but maybe not. Maybe that's an older method, I don't remember. So, we're not going to do one for blob. We're only going to do one for this image URL, I think. So let's just do like image URL, picture URL, photo URL, stuff like that. And this would actually end up being this. And maybe if it just has, I don't think we'll mess with it if it has just image. So let's do that. Okay, I think this is good enough. Let's see this fail. Okay, so we're definitely getting some failures because it's expecting URL, but really it was word for guesses URL, and same with image URL values. So I think we can get on in here now and kind of take a peek at like how this all looks and behaves. So let's kind of format some stuff here, and let's kind of dig into guess. So guess comes in, it lowercases it to normalize it. If it ends in ID, it's automatically an integer. Otherwise, we replace the underscore out of the name and we call toString on it. Name. Oh, okay, it's a stringable, sorry. Why would we replace the underscores? That seems a little bit weird. Guess based on name. Comes down here. It does website, URL. That's kind of strange. Where's longitude and latitude? So it doesn't have that guess based on name. Okay, so if it fails from there, then has native resolver for. So this is like an internal faker thing, I think, that actually attempts to see if you match exactly based on that name. So those would be like longitude and latitude and stuff, I think. That's why those were automatically passing. Just, those didn't fail. So I think we're in guess based on name. I think this is really where we would want to be. And then has native resolver for, use it. Guess based on type, type size. I don't really like this. Why are we getting rid of that? That's kind of strange. Don't know if I agree with that part. Okay, well, yeah, that's kind of ugly for the moment. Let's do this. Let's get rid of this because I think that's kind of silly. And let's go down. Well, let's see how much breaks when I get rid of that, actually. A lot of stuff breaks. Illegal offset type is empty. Oh, the toString is required. Hold on a sec. Let's get rid of this string of. This is the only thing I do with it. All right. Still broken. Oh, okay. Guess we can't. String of to lower. All right, that's fine. And then where do we call ends with? Ends with. Oh, right here, of course. Yeah, this. I like stringables, but I think they're a little silly unless you're kind of working with them tightly in the group. I don't think this kind of makes sense. I mean, you can just do like str ends with nowadays. Oh wait, no, this was added. I see why we're doing this now. It's to support earlier versions of PHP. Okay, my bad. All right, let's try all this again. So let's do name toString. Or do they have that now? See, I think calling that string method's gross. Legal offset. All right, what the hell is going on here? 121. No, 112, sorry. 112. Get formatter property. A bunch of your tests. Yeah, I don't think that's the actual problem though. This is actually failing on a different line, which is kind of strange. I know that those are failing, but that's not exactly. I don't know why we're getting a PHP error though. So, like, this is an exception being thrown. I would expect a failure that we didn't match for certain things, but not a PHP error being thrown. This is a string, right? Oh no, it's not. We have to do the toString down here too. All right, yeah, this is flat out annoying. Let's get rid of this. I bet you if I typed those things, it would. There we go, that's better. Okay, yeah, so we're definitely getting some errors now because certain things don't line up, but I'd rather fix those down here, you know, and make them explicit. Like, I think pulling out that underscore is kind of crap. All right, telephone, tel number. You can do zip and zip code. You can do company name and employer and title. And I think you had something about street address, maybe. Okay, so we're getting a little better. So I think these are fine. I think the problem now is when we call this one, we could say we'd have to try it two different ways. We'd have to try it without and then with. So if native resolver, I think here is where we could probably just do what we want to do with name. So we could just say like name equals str replace underscore with that in name. And I think, okay, so now we're back to our just two failures here where URL is a bit broken. And then image URL actually works, which is interesting, but it doesn't line up the same. So we need this name to be working. So I think we're back where we started. We just a little bit of weird string manipulation there. And I'd also love it if these were like sorted. I wonder if you can sort like a switch statement in. No, not switch case. Refactor, can you like sort? I wonder if you could sort these. That would be really sweet. All right, well, whatever. We'll make our own here. So if you were somehow like, I would say we could do an if statement here and just say if str ends with the haystack as name, and if you end with URL, then when we return URL. That's going to fix a few of these. All right, so we're just down to image URL now, and it's returning URL, so we need kind of a higher order method here, where we would now say if, this is where it gets a little weird. This is where a match statement would be cool, because I think you can like mess around with the expression in a match statement. We kind of don't want to return a word just yet. The image URL ones are like really, really specific. Like you have to be like an image or one of these other things. So let's just borrow this yet again. And we can say image URL. It's kind of like if you contain a couple different things. I think these are just going to be by hand. Maybe like photo? Yeah, I don't know. The more I'm thinking about this test, the more it kind of sucks. I mean, there's a lot of things. It could be picture, it could be photo, it could be pic URL. The image URL one's kind of automatic. That one's nice. Do I really want to support these other two? I don't think so. I would say it can guess image URL values. And it kind of doesn't matter how it does that. I think to your point, Adrian, I think this could be a good opportunity. Since we are messing with some of this stuff, I think it would actually be a good opportunity to tweak this kind of based on some other stuff. So we could say if it ends with URL, let's take this over here. If it ends with URL, then we're going to make you a URL. But that's going to kill us for image URL. So self default's not equal to type name guess. Return type name guess. Self.default. Oh, if you guessed word, then gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I see what you're getting at here. Okay, so I think we could do something here like replace. Let's get rid of this line for a second. Let's replace this, and then we would actually want this to be, this would be camel is what we're saying. And do toString. And then here we would basically do the same thing, camelify it, and toString. Oh, so gross. And then finally, if it's somehow a URL, then we would just return URL. Let's see if we pass. No, we don't. Not even close. Okay, so country code, but that's actually correct. That's actually correct if we go look at Faker. So this was actually a bit of a bug all along. Those weren't proper image names. I think we could do better there. Right? Secondary address. Yeah, street address. City suffix. City, yeah. So this is actually good except for this one. We'll come back to that. So we've got last name. Yeah, let's clean those up. Those should have been way cleaner. Let's fix our tests now and see if we get back to that one. So this should be country code. Yeah, that was weird that those were always 3 different things. Locale, that's good, that's nice. Postcode, street address. Even PHP start, yeah, see phone number, that's weird that it would give you phone number sometimes and then not the other times. That's kind of gross. Is it username? I don't think username is going to be in here. Username might be the exception to the rule here. Where is this? User agent? No. Miscellaneous? I kind of hate their new documentation. Their GitHub page was nice. It used to just... It is a user capital name. Okay, cool. Well, we've got username. Ooh, that one's going to be interesting. Okay, so we might have to fix that ourselves. Yeah, so last name, first name. All right, name, text, date, time, random number, Boolean. All right, phone number. Where was that other thing? I think there was like city, currency code. That's good. Company, longitude, latitude. Okay, let's see if we're a little closer here. We are not. Actual got currency code. Okay, so yeah, a couple of these are a bit off. So let's fix that. I think, let's start with username. I think username is lowercase in here, which is, oh no, that's good. So we could probably do username here when it's all one word. That should fix that one, I think. Nope. What's wrong with you, username? First name, last name, username. It can guess username values. 106. 106. Oh, I missed one. All right, down to 6. That's good. It can guess currency code values. 181. Currency code. All right, what's wrong with you? Currency code. So I must be... Nope. It's not getting into those. You missed a capital N. Yeah, okay, got that. Of the type. Yeah, I think we fixed that. Let's see why currency code's not happy with us. If it has a native one for that, then we would send it across. It should be getting in there for currency code. Expected that, but got the lowercase version. Currency code. Why would you do that? Why would it do that? Oh. Yeah, this has native. Okay, so we're actually sending in currency code, all one word with no and we're kind of like lowercasing this. I think that's why. That's going to be kind of the problem here, and I think that's probably why originally when this got written that it was a little simple like that. If we're not relying on the underscores anymore, then we kind of have to account for this if we're trying to get that name kind of perfectly right. That's why some were and some weren't. Yeah, we're down to 5 now. That's what's going on here. I bet you if we start looking at each one of these, that's what we're going to see. So if we go look at, for example, if we go look at 144, my guess is street address is all one word here. Oh no, it's potentially capital. But we lowercase it when it comes in. Yeah. I think that's what's happening here. There's not really a good way to like normalize these values. Street address is good and it gets caught because it's got the underscore and the camel case is ending up giving us this. But when you actually pass in one that matches exactly, we're kind of doing that too lower right away. And it's not allowing us to kind of honor it. But someone could just as easily, the problem is someone could just as easily write like, you know, street, or well, you know, all caps here, right? Like street address. And like, how do you, I mean, camel would get this, I guess, but we've already too lowercased it. But again, we could play with this. I mean, someone, you know, what if someone was crazy and, you know, was like street address, like, we're not gonna be able to fix that unless you too lowered it. I wish the resolver gave you like the exact name that it actually found. I wonder if it does. Let's take a quick look at that. This is way deeper than I expected to get on this. This generator get formatter. Let's see here. If is set formatter's format. If method exists. If method exists. I'm imagining method exists probably doesn't care, because PHP is not case sensitive. So it probably doesn't care. So even if it found the method, it's just going to plug it in with whatever I pass in. It's not necessarily going to care, you know, which one it is. So that's kind of, that's not going to help us at all. I think the only way around this would be, I'd have to kind of start replicating some of these names in the guesser. So like I have to put, as before there was no street address down here, now I have to put one. So I have to say like case street address to handle that lowercase version of it instead of the and return street address, which, you know, there's dozens of these, right? Like, I don't know if I've improved it. So we're down to 4 now. We can keep playing this game. Like I can put in phone number and last name and, you know, first name and where all this stuff's together, but it's still going to find it, so it's going to behave the same way as before. It's just, you know, the casing is going to be accurate on the method name. I don't know how much I like care about that at the moment. You know, so the point being here, like, user would be first, and this would be last, and I think we'd get down to 2 now. Yep. So again, you kind of just keep playing this game. Same with phone number. You know, here is just another case for phone number where they passed it in all one lowercase word. Now we're down to just our 1. So I don't know. I don't know if I like that. That's a lot of extra code. I don't feel like it yielded a big return personally. But all right. Well, anyway, if we get down here, URL ends with, it's not returning URL there, which I would have expected it. Oh, image URL. How did we miss image URL? 197. Okay, let's finish this 197. Okay, so when we pass in image URL, this should get picked up. In my opinion, this should have gotten picked up by this. So let's just run this test explicitly here. -- filter equals. All right. And then if we said var dump for this name, or well, let's just var dump the name up here. Okay, so we're not getting that far. So it's picking it up. It must be picking it up here because it returns a default. So did I put image URL in here? Did I leave one? Oh no, I still left this. There we go. Cool. All right. That was just, I left some bad code in there. All right, let's take that off and run this and get rid of my var dump because it's getting a bunch of crap out there. Okay, we're back to passing now. Okay, there's a lot of roundabout code there that I did not expect. Let's do a git add -p and just kind of see what actually happened here. So just some formatting there, whatever. Okay. So we kind of cleaned up some of this like string replacement that's happening right off the bat because really that underscore potentially matters. Potentially. Probably not for the guess based on name scenario. So we could put that back in and just pass the parameter. Let's see what we ended up adding. I think this is a good change though, because this gives us again a cleaner output as far as that, and then we really just added this. If we got that far and we still didn't find anything and somehow it has underscore URL in there, then we would know that it's a URL. That's kind of just a last fall, but we wouldn't want to do that before we gave it a chance to find a specific URL, because if it's a file URL or an image URL or any one of those things, Faker might have a legit method for it, which we saw. Now again, I could code all those up and guess by name, but I want to avoid that, so let's focus on that now. So let's see what we had to end up doing here. We added username to catch, we added a lot of these to catch the scenario where the column name was all one word already, And now that would have resulted in the faker guessing it based on the method name, but then the method name would not have been properly cased. So that's a majority of these. So this one was added for the underscore, this was added for the underscore, and company name was added for the underscore. I think 3 of them don't really bother me. I don't think it bothers me. I think all the tests are good, as we know. All right, git commit -m add support for URL types plus fix casing. Let's get rid of this add. It's kind of obvious. Support. There we go. Git push origin head. All right. I think that's better. It was more than I kind of expected to do, but let's check the chat for a second while I shut it down here. What's the difference between chaining toString versus toString? So yeah, I think toString was added for convenience in a later version of Laravel, but I don't think, again, I think if we look at Composer JSON, I think I'm still supporting 8 for whatever reason, at least for a couple more weeks till 8's end of life. So for those reasons, I'm using toString to not have a conflict there. But yeah, I kept, if you watched or saw, I was kept typing toString without the underscores. Do you mind if we submit PRs to add other common types? No, it's an open source project. Please submit stuff. Adrian, would it be easier to figure out proper method name via reflection? Proper case could be done with git class methods. Does it give you proper casing? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think if some, quote unquote bugs were opened up with this, or it got used more often, I think maybe I would I might dig into something like that. But again, it's not broken to use the other name. It's just, it's not super clean. And I don't want to, if I end up writing more of those cases where I'm covering those and I'm starting to write like all of the available formatters, if I'm just getting in here and like copying all these names, like that's that's a bit silly. So I think it's probably, yeah, I don't know. It's not something I'm going to do with my time, but yeah, if you want to open a PR, go for it. So with that, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next week.